Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Bush League Huddle podcast. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're back for this is week 12 now that we're running up in this right now. This season is just flying by every single week. You just feel like you're going to get another win in the column, and it doesn't happen. But that's okay. We're here to help you and provide you details and assist you otherwise to get you in that fantasy football playoffs, fantasy football championship. That's what we're here. That's what we're here for. I'm Fab. I'm joined with Nacc and Rog as always. We're here to preview a wonderful week of week 12 and what's to offer right now. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, for all your weekly fantasy football breakdowns all season long. Send us your waiver questions. Send us your sit-start questions. If you still haven't hit your trade deadline yet, send us all your trade questions. We're here for that as well. We're here all the time. We don't miss a beat, all right? Unlike some people that might sleep through their walkthroughs or certain wide receivers that miss their curfew and miss out on the opening drive. We're not going to say who those people are, but it doesn't matter because they balled out anyways last night. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Did you guys hear about that? Getting a little bit too loose in Vegas?
Yeah, they got the Vegas flu.
Yeah, can't blame them necessarily. But you wouldn't have seen it on the playing field. My goodness, did they go off last night? If any one of you, our listeners right now, had George Pickens or had CeeDee Lamb and you needed him for a Monday Night Miracle, I hope you got it. I really do. Except if it was against me. We got a jam-packed episode this week, like always. Roger's going to kick us off with the opening drive. We got some post-bye week strategies and handling of some handcuffs that you really got to pay attention to. Nacc is going to keep us honest as always with the love-hate, where some of us did a lot worse than others. We're not going to name names. We're going to find out later on a little bit. But apart from that, listen, I'm gonna keep things short, sweet, and simple, like Nacc's cute little mustache over there. We're going to get things rolling right now. Roger, you can take it away with the opening drive. Nacc, that's like if I know this is like PG-13, but my goodness, that's not safe for work right there. That stash you got on your finger. My goodness, where's that coming from?
Gomez
Adams. Take it away, Raj.
Thank you, Fab. Yes, for the opening drive, week 12, we're going to talk about cuff season. So playoff prep made simple for you all. So week 12, final bye weeks are coming up. Injuries are everywhere. It's officially cuff season. It's time to protect your rosters for the playoffs. So quickly, we'll go through the remaining byes. Week 12, we have the Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, and Commanders. And in week 14, we have the Panthers, Patriots, Giants, and 49ers. So if you're not impacted by these teams, your focus should automatically shift towards playoff roster construction, regardless of your record. The bench right now, no longer upside for flyers. It's for insurance. Fab is mostly gone. FAAB is mostly gone. If you're like me, I've had no Fab since Jake Browning. I was a Joe Burrow owner.
Yeah, make the distinction because Fab is here for the entirety of the season. Just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Fab. Thank you. Free agent acquisition budget is what I'm referring to. Waivers are very thin and injuries only get worse from here. So if you're in a 2QB and Superflex league like we are in, like we specialize in this podcast, you're one QB injury away from your season unraveling, especially in weeks 15, 16, and 17. So there's some guys you could stash now from a QB perspective. And yes, I know we're already past kind of once this goes out, you're going to be past the waiver period, but you're going to be able to get Tyson Bagent from the Bears if you're a Caleb Williams owner. He's one of the best backups in the league. Snoop Hundley, considering how Lamar Jackson has looked from an injury perspective, and we saw how Hundley came on a few weeks ago, and the offense kind of fits him better than Cooper Rush as a running quarterback. Even Anthony Richardson, if you've lived by Daniel Jones right now, having Anthony Richardson as insurance in case Daniel Jones goes out. We saw how Anthony Richardson, I owned him last year. He was quite helpful during the stretch, especially with his running upside. There's Tanner McKee. We know Jalen Hurts often gets injured at the end of the year. He always gets injured at least for one or two games every single season. David Smills, we've seen how he's performed in lieu of CJ Stroud, Mac Jones, and even Malik Willis in a run-heavy scheme. So those guys could be season stavers, especially if you're in a 2QB league. It's not the time anymore to kind of own guys that you don't necessarily need. So if you look at what happened last week, we had Josh Jacobs, who injured his knee and is week to week. We had Jalen Warren, who injured his ankle. We'll see if he's going to be day to day. So we're already seeing, these aren't freak injuries. This is normal for this to happen, for the wear and tear to happen. And then for weeks 12 to 17, start to plan in your backups and your contingencies. So if you look at who the top running back handcuffs are still on waivers, so these are really elite insurance policies in case your starters go down. These are guys who could be very good if the starter goes down, and even now are still producing with as a backup. So there's Blake Corum, who's owned in 17% of leagues. Bashal Tutin, 31% ownership. Tyler Algier, 45% ownership. Kenny Gainwell, 34%. Brian Robinson Jr., 28%. Nacc, that makes no sense. You're a CMC owner. Brian Robinson Jr. should be owned.
Shocking.
He should be owned at least 50 to 60%. He is a pure league winner as CMC's backup. There's Tank Bigsby, who backs up Saquon Barkley, 21% ownership. Ollie Gordon, he's been really good at the goal line. He backs up Devon Achane. And there's Ray Davis at 8%. We know what he's done when James Cook has been out in the past. So these are all guys who have the talent, they have the roles, they have clear paths to volume. And if you look at my example, we were just talking about it in the pre-show. I actually had Emmanuel Wilson 2 weeks ago. I looked ahead of it. I was like, hey, Josh Jacobs, he's been nicked up. He's been injured. Let me pick up Emmanuel Wilson. Let me start kind of figuring out this post-bye-week strategy now. And then I dropped him because I'm like, Josh Jacobs, he's durable. He never gets hurt. Lo and behold, Josh Jacobs, after a few plays against the Giants in that MetLife turf, bangs his knee down in the turf. He is hurt. He is potentially week to week, maybe not season ending, but I'm left scrambling now looking for a running back. So don't be me. Think ahead, which I already did, but then I dropped him. But stick to your guns and keep with your handcuffs. And again, ask yourself, is it better to have Tony Pollard or Isaiah Pacheco, or maybe hope and pray that Nick Chubb is, going to reclaim the starter again, or get one of your elite handcuffs who could eventually become an RB1 the moment the starter misses time. So this is all about insurance. Your bench isn't for hope. Build for the playoff roster now.
Yeah, and honestly, the same goes for if you don't own the starters. Like if you don't have Kyren Williams and you want to pick up Blake Corum, you have a spot on your bench to do it, or even Brian Robinson Jr., do it.
Yes.
Do it because you don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, right? The season is long, and it keeps on getting longer every single year because they keep on adding games. And those are guys that are going to help you hit the fantasy football promised land. And there's nothing wrong with picking up somebody else's handcuff. Like, everyone plays offense, but you got to play some defense too, right? Whenever you go do your roster management and your roster changes, you want to pick up that extra defense or that extra kicker just to poo-poo on a guy's week, just that way he's not able to start that guy that he wants to start. It's the same thing with running backs. Pick up everyone else's backups. What do you have to lose apart from a roster spot if you can burn it?
We have two guys in our league. Go ahead, Nacc.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say is two guys in Bush League where Nick picked up Emmanuel Wilson and I picked up Kenneth Gainwell just before the game started. And lo and behold, now we have the backups on our team free of charge. Obviously, didn't cost us anything if we even did have fab left. Or someone like you, Raj, like you said, if you don't have any fab left on your plate, the free agency is where you really have to work your magic because you'll be outbid every week when it comes to waivers.
Absolutely. So that's the strategy. Post bye. That's cuff season. Tighten the bench. Protect the studs. Get playoff ready before the league mates even realize what's happening. Nacc, your turn. Take it away with love hate for week 12.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Raj. Love hate, baby. The best segment there is out there. But before we dive into our week 12 loves and hates, we'll do a quick recap of last week's picks. So accountability is what keeps us our advice sharp. So let's see how our week 11 selections performed. It's all about learning from the results and using insight to up our game for the week ahead. So a little bit of a bumpy ride once again this week for the Bush League Huddle. Our record this week was abysmal, 5-9, which brings our total record to 77, 80, and 2 on the season. Fab, yes, I know you put a hood on your head. Look like the Cleveland Browns with the garbage bags on their head. You went like 1-4 in week number 11, missed out on your loves of Geno Smith and Marcus Mariota. Fun fact, they did finish QB9 and QB15 at their positions. But as everyone knows, we go based on projections, so they were both misses this week. You also missed drastically on your hate of Baker Mayfield. I know we caught a lot of flack on that. And,
I will eat crow for that.
I did mention that Baker Mayfield was going to have a good game. So, as it always happens in your hate segment with your spicy takes.
Yeah, I think I'm like 0 for 6 in the last 3 weeks with my hates. They've all massively outperformed their projected points. Massively.
Yeah, as did Mr. Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
You did hit on your sole hate of Kate Otten, so congratulations on that. Rod, you went 2-2.
Whatever.
Sam Laporta was placed on IR, so he did not play. So no statistics on that. Missed out on your love of Tez Johnson. Disappointing afternoon for him. Yeah. You did hit on Trey Tucker. Luckily, he got that touchdown towards the end of the game. Missed out massively on Tetroya McMillan, who had a 2-touchdown. Massive huge afternoon game for him.
I sat him in another league.
Oh yeah. Well, usually that's what happens.
I'm sorry.
Our love hates.
Everyone raise their hand here who expected Bryce Young to have a 450-yard passing game.
Yeah,
against
I did not have that
against a very good secondary, the Atlanta Falcons.
Did not have that on my bingo card.
Seriously.
You did hit on the Romeo Dobbs hate. I missed out on RJ Harvey. Pretty disappointing performance on his part with J.K. Dobbins now on IR. Did hit on Sean Tucker, with his 3-touchdown afternoon. Missed out on my love of Jonnu Smith, who put up a nice goose egg. I did hit on the Saquon Barkley hate and missed out on Tyrone Tracy. Both running backs in the Giants were over 15 points this weekend, which was another thing I did not have on my bingo card.
Against a good Green Bay run defense too.
Yes, that was very unexpected. But those were our love hates from week 11. Looking to do better in week 12. So let's jump straight into our week 12 picks. Raj will kick things off with his takes on the quarterbacks. Fab will be up next to break down the top running back options. And I'll wrap it up with the wide receiver analysis. And then to close things out, as always, we'll spotlight 3 tight ends who stand out for better or for worse, heading into this week's matchups. And before we begin, just a quick reminder, don't forget the Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, and Commanders are all on bye, so make sure those lineups are set with that in mind. So without further ado, Raj, take it away with the quarterbacks you love and hate for Week 12.
Thank you, Nacc. There are a lot of QB matchups I love this week. In particular, the aforementioned Bryce Young, QB 19 at San Francisco, and another guy we talked about on the pre-show, Jacoby Brissett, QB 10 at Jacksonville. So let's start with Bryce Young. Almost 40 points last week versus one of the top pass defenses in terms of pressure rate. And we see this year that he's going to face the Niners. The Niners are allowing in the last 4 weeks the second most points to QBs. They have the worst pressure rate in the league, and they allowed Jacoby Brissett to get 45 completions for 452 yards last week. So we know with Bryce Young, this is kind of the time of the year where he starts to heat up. If you look at last year from week 12 and on, he was the QB 11, averaging 21 fantasy points per game. I feel the late season Bryce Young surgence has begun again, and I think we're going to see him continue that against the 49ers. And if we look at Jacoby Brissett, he's the QB4 in the last 3 weeks. So he's really sparked life into the Cardinals offense. As I mentioned, he completed 45 passes last week, only 10 incompletions. The Cardinals have allowed 85 points over the last 2 weeks. So they're always in positive game scripts for their offense. It's garbage time, but it counts. And if you look at the Jaguars, they've allowed 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games, 27 fantasy points per game in the last 3 games to QBs, 11 TDs. So that's the second most in the league. So I really like Bryce and Brissett over the likes of Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, and even Caleb Williams this week.
Yeah. And it was actually 47 completions for Brissett.
47, yes.
I would be hard pressed to find, apart from like the top 5 quarterbacks that everyone always starts every single week, I'd be hard pressed to find like a few more guys before before Jacoby Brissett that I would be starting every week right now. The guy's playing like a man on fire.
I think it has an expiry date, but
yeah.
I think you roll with it until that expiry date hits.
You have no choice.
Sure.
You really have no choice. He's on quite a heater right now.
Yeah.
So for the QBs I hate this week, I have Sam Darnold QB 14 against the Titans and Daniel Jones QB 12 at the home of the Chiefs. So for Sam Darnold, it's been a really awful 3 out of the last 4 weeks. 10 points versus Houston, 6 versus Arizona, and 8 versus the Rams. Titans defense is middle of the pack in all facets in terms of fantasy points to QBs and pressure rate, but they've surprisingly been very competitive in their last 2 games against Houston, and I believe it was against the Chargers. So Darnold, outside of the 4 touchdown games he's had versus Tampa Bay and and Washington this year, he's at 9 TDs and 8 INTs on the year. It's giving me Kirk Cousins 2024 vibes, where the only good games he had were versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I much prefer Jackson Dart and, as mentioned, Bryce Young over him. And then for Daniel Jones, I think for Jones, it's more of a fade than pure hate. And this is really mostly because of the Chiefs defense. So the KC defense has allowed one of the lowest touchdown rates to quarterbacks this year with 9 touchdowns. And they've offered 9 INTs to quarterbacks. So it's not an indictment on Jones, but more so how good the Chiefs defense is at limiting fantasy QBs. If Jones were to perform above expectation, it'll be on the ground, where the Chiefs allow the second most rushing attempts to QBs, the 6th most rushing yards to QBs, and the most rushing TDs to QBs this season. So I still expect Jones to have a more of a pedestrian game against this Chiefs defense, but he's more of a fade than a pure hate, in my opinion.
Fair call. KC always they're always a tough defense to play against, I think, right? And you're typically always playing catch up against that offense anyway. So yeah, I don't disagree with the hate on Indiana Jones.
And it's very conservative.
They limited Bo Nix last week as well. So
yeah.
It was very modest fantasy points wise. So no, great analysis there, Raj. Thank you for the QBs. Fab, why don't you keep the party going here and let us know what running backs you love and hate this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're putting our best foot forward. We're going to try to do better than 1-4 last year, okay? So just bear with me for a second. I got David Montgomery versus the New York Football Giants as one of my loves, and the other one being Breece Hall versus Baltimore. So David Montgomery, listen, such a juicy matchup, and it's hard to pass up. The Giants have been gashed all season, giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. And Monty, although ranked this week as a fringe RB2 flex play, as Fantasy Pros has him at RB24, I think he benefits from some serious positive game script this week. I like him as a starter in all formats, and I slot him in ahead of guys like Kareem Hunt, Ashton, Gentry, DeAndre Swift, even Aaron Jones Sr., who are all currently ranked ahead of him. It's hard not to start Montgomery versus the Giants versus in a fantastic matchup.
Gentry is just a spot by sentimental value because of where you drafted him, but it's just not looking good. And
it becomes the guy with the name, right?
Has no room to
like
run.
The name.
Yeah.
No, it's not even his fault, to be honest with you. We're gonna get into that a little bit later on, though. Don't worry. We got Breece Hall versus Baltimore. So I don't think Breece is getting enough love this year in what is another another lost Jets season. He's currently RB14 on the year and RB6 in the last 4 weeks. It's wild, huh? He's ranked RB17 versus a bad Baltimore defense that has been very kind to running backs, giving up the 10th most fantasy points to running backs. I like him a lot this week, and I like him even more now that Ty God Taylor is back and calling the plays. I expect him to get a lot of work this week and easily outperform his ranking and projected points, since we also look at projected points. Guys ahead of him that I'd start Breece over are the aforementioned Gentry, Judkins, Woody Marks. Yeah. Woody Marks has a tough matchup. Travis Etienne, Warren, and the DeAndre Swift as well. I think he's another must-start for me, and I love the matchup.
I don't know about Warren, depending on if he plays, but definitely Woody Marks. So definitely
Warren does have a good matchup, but it's also I think it's a little more injury dependent there in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I like Gainwell a lot this week, actually.
Yes. He's surprisingly really good, and it's crazy how much.
It's not surprising.
He's a great pass catcher.
Great
It's
pass
not
catcher,
surprising
and
to me. Yeah.
I feel like even when he was in Philly before Saquon got there, he was getting a lot of goal line work. Like
Yeah.
with Boston Scott too, and for a little guy, he's pretty good in short yardage situations.
I remember vividly the year that the Giants made the playoffs with Daniel Jones, and in the second round when they went up against Philly and got completely destroyed and outmatched, Kenneth Gainwell had a monster game.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons why Mike Tomlin wanted Gainwell, because he destroyed them in a game versus Philly last year.
Yeah.
He absolutely destroyed us.
Yeah.
Passing game and even in the running game. I think he scored two touchdowns that game.
I remember that game.
Yeah, they got absolutely manhandled, and he said that was one of the reasons why they signed the Gainwell this year.
Yeah, I remember that game.
100%. So my hates for the week are Ashton Gentry versus Cleveland and Kareem Hunt versus Indianapolis. So Ashton Gentry, I mean, listen, he's ranked right now as RB16, which is way too high with fantasy pros. He's a fringe RB2, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Cleveland D are good. Just ask Myles Garrett. Giving up the 5th least fantasy points to running backs, and the Raiders' O-line is really, it's not bueno. It's not good at all. Dallas's D-line ran rampant on them this past week, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same outcome versus the Raiders again this week. Gentry, like I said, is a flex play at best for me. I don't like this matchup, even with its high usage. He's tough to trust in that offense right now, and there's a lot of other guys I prefer over him, like the aforementioned Breece and Montgomery, Kenneth Walker, and just to name a few right there. I'm not a fan of this at all, this matchup.
I wonder if they bench Geno.
I was thinking about that actually as I was watching the game. Even though he finished as QB 16, so he was a startable quarterback this week. But
they need to bench. They need to bench the OC, like Chip Kelly.
Yeah, not working out.
It's been awful. It's been
no.
And I was telling
even who's with coach, what's his name?
Pete Carroll.
Coach
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looks lost. He looks a bit. He looks out of it. He looks out of it.
Chewing too much gum.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's. What do you expect him to do with that offensive line? Like, I'm not saying it's blame Geno for everything. You guys saw a press conference where he's like, blame me for your kid, blame me for this, blame me for that, blame me for everything.
That's awful. That's the reverse accountability. Like,
that was the worst. That was a very bad press conference.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I'm saying this as I'm wearing a Raiders shirt. It's not
before the game.
It's Max Crosby. I got to give some love to Max Crosby. Kareem Hunt versus Indianapolis. So another tough matchup for RB, ranked a little bit too high for my liking. He's currently ranked RB 23 in Fantasy Pros on a PPR. And Hunt's been pretty serviceable at times this year so far, right? But I wouldn't bet on him this week versus Indy, giving up the 11th fewest fantasy points to running backs. He's another consideration to bench if you have better options. And just like Gentry, like a lot of guys above him that are ranked above him or right around him over. So I'm not super excited about starting Kareem Hunt this week. I mean, David Montgomery is ranked as RB24. Much rather have him. Zach Charbonnet, much rather have him. Like, even give me Tyrone Tracy, honestly, at RB27 versus Detroit. Like, you saw what they did last week versus a tough Green Bay defense. You know what? He's going to get the rock. He's going to get usage. I much prefer that over Kareem Hunt. I think with Kareem Hunt, you're banking that he falls into the end zone for him to save your fantasy day.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is he often does. I don't know if I like the Tyrone Tracy going against Detroit. That line is pretty, and they obviously held Saquon in check as well. On
that doesn't mean much for me though, because Saquon Barkley has not looked like himself this year. Like, he's only had the only one good game he had, and maybe he had another one, but the one good game that I remember that he had was against the Giants, where he ran rampant. Ever since then, he's barely cracked 70 yards a game.
Is Pacheco supposed to be back?
And I think so.
I don't know if he's. I think he was absent from practice to start the week.
Attendez minute, s'il vous plaît. Sorry, that's give me 1 second for our non-French listeners. Apologies.
But I agree. Like, I think
there's no news yet.
3 straight games with a touchdown. It's definitely banking on the TD, but he
gets the goal line work.
But he gets the goal line work,
always
right?
the goal line back, and he always seems to find the end zone.
And those are my running backs for the week. Let's hope we do a little bit better than 4-1. Let's hope.
A lot safer this week, Fab. Good. I think it's good.
Yeah,
You
I
went a
mean,
lot
I was
safer.
gonna say. Oh wait, no, I have another honorable mention.
Here he is.
I hate Christian McCaffrey this week. No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of not helping anyone.
Yeah, speaking of not helping
We're
anyone,
gonna edit that out.
guys. Fade CMC this week. Okay, it's a tough matchup versus Carolina. Fade CMC.
It is. It actually
Robinson
is.
Jr.
It actually is. I mean, Bijan went off, but actually the Panthers have been a really good run defense. But
I think they're better against the pass, but
Yeah, they're better against the pass.
yeah, doesn't matter. Thanks, Fab, for the running backs, and I will keep it going with the wide receivers. So the wide receivers I love this week are going to be Rome Odunze, wide receiver 19, and Jameson Williams, wide receiver 20 versus the Giants. So Odunze has not been consistent over the last 4 to 5 weeks. In week 8 and 10, he had 10 targets in each week and had 18 and 20 points respectively. But then in week 9 and 11, he had 9 total targets for 6.1 total fantasy points. But he does now get his juiciest matchup of the season, a home date with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, although have been playing a little bit better on D the past 2 weeks, continue to be generous towards wide receivers. They have allowed at least one wide receiver to hit double-digit fantasy points in all but 2 games this season, so I am starting Rome Odunze with great confidence.
yeah.
Easy.
Then I go to Mr. Jameson Williams, a wide receiver
Yes.
20 versus the Giants. So he has been on an absolute tear as of late and he's had 3 TDs in 3 straight games. A TD in 3 straight games. And ever since Dan Campbell took over the play calling, JMO has seen a minimum of 7 targets in each of those games, and his season average was just above 4. So they finally recognize they have another talent they need to exploit. And he's outperformed Amon-Ra over the past 3 weeks as well, with half of the targets. So he's had, I think, 17, and Amon-Ra's had 33. This week, he gets to feast on a defense that has allowed on average of 40 points to the wide receiver position over the last 4 weeks. So he has the wide receiver 1 potential this week. And I like both these players over the likes of Wan'Dale Robinson, who's going as a wide receiver 17, Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver 15, and even Zay Flowers, wide receiver 21.
JMO should be a lineup lock for the rest of the season, and it's not even close. He should be like knocking on the door of wide receiver 1 with this usage, with the way they're being used right now within this offense. You saw in the last 2 games, not to take too much for your point, Nacc, but like it's been a revelation. And Campbell has always loved Jameson Williams, always, since the moment he got drafted. So this is the last time he's going to be on the love list, I think, because he's going to be a solid start week in, week out. Like, honestly, he's gonna. This guy's honestly. We say this a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he turns into a league winner for a lot of people.
Yeah, and there was a time there where everyone was kind of writing him off, and I think all of us had our moments with that. He had a tough start to the season, but I mean, as of late, I think they're finally playing him how he's supposed to be played, and they're actually giving him targets where he's not just a deep ball or deep threat guy. So I think Dan Campbell has unlocked something with
100%. And you know who hates this right now? All the Amon-Ra owners right now. They're not a fan of this whatsoever.
He's still going to get his games, and he's still obviously the number 1 guy there. But it's just that
is he the number 1 guy?
No, Amon-Ra. Every year, Amon-Ra goes through like a 1 to 3 week stretch where he's like he only got 2 targets. I'm looking at it even last year. Like he had a game where he just got 2 targets, and then he had 2 straight games of like 7 and 7 targets, and then he goes back to like 18 target game, 10 target game, 11 target game. So this is par for the course with what they do.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be worried about this.
He's still looked over the last 5 games. He's had 10 targets, 13 targets, 8 targets, 12 targets. But last week it was 12 targets, only 2 receptions, that's what was the concerning part.
What I would be actually like I'm looking at the only thing I'd be worried about is Jared Goff, but he doesn't have many more games in the outdoors. He just has the Bears, and he has the Bears in week 18. And he has the Rams in a dome. Jared Goff was very bad last game, and he's back to bad Jared Goff against pressure. Like the Eagles pressured him and he did not play well. And then he has the small hands, so he has to wear the gloves. And with the really bad conditions, he could not get the ball off last week at all. So I think if there's anyone to worry about, it's how Jared Goff performs against teams with pressure, like the Green Bay Packers, like the Rams, Minnesota as well. So those are going to be some interesting games to see how he performs then.
You're right, but all those games are in a dome or in good weather, like for the rest of the season. Giants, it's in Detroit. Green Bay is in Detroit. Dallas is in Detroit. The Rams is good, like fair conditions, like very warm conditions. Pittsburgh in Detroit. At Minnesota, they're in a dome. So
they have three straight home games coming up right now, which is rare to see. So numbers should be inflated there. Those are my loves for the week. My wide receivers that I hate this week are going to be Khalil Shakir, wide receiver 25 at the Texans, and Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 34 versus the Panthers. So I will start with Mr. Shakir. In a game where not only did the Bills bench Keon Coleman, Josh Allen scored a total of 6 TDs, and Khalil's stat line was 1 catch for -3 yards on 3 targets. So after 3 straight weeks in double digits, he could not reward fantasy managers in a shootout win. And while things don't get much better in week 12, as he gets a Houston Texans defense who are giving up an average of 18 points to wide receivers over the past 4 weeks and second least on the season. So very difficult spot to put up, to put that awful performance behind you. I like wide receivers like Alec Pierce and even Christian Watson ahead of Khalil Shakir this week.
I agree. Very tough matchup.
Josh Allen has 6 touchdowns and Khalil Shakir has 3 targets and a reception. That's Bills football.
Well, it's because their number one wide receiver is their tight end. And Dalton
and Coleman was not there. That was like they were playing with misfits out there. And McCole Harmon also got injured during the game as well. It was weird to see.
There was a guy though, the Sorrell, David something. He had like 4 for 88 for the touchdown.
I do forget his name. But there is a Bills wide receiver that balled out.
Hold on a second. I'll give you his information.
Tyrell Shavers.
Shavers.
That's what it is.
Yeah. He caught 4 for 90, 1 touchdown. Yeah. Even Elijah Moore.
Yeah, that was just terrible that you couldn't get Shakir involved in a game like that. Second hate this week is Ricky Pearsall versus the Panthers. So he was on the field for 75% of the snaps in his return, and he could only muster up 0 yards on 1 reception and 3 targets. So not exactly what everyone was looking for after he's missed the last 6 weeks. The Panthers have allowed an average of 24 points to the wide receiver position over the last 4 weeks, but the majority of those points are to the WR1. So for the moment, that currently belongs to Jennings. And although you can make a case for Kittle and CMC, who also command a lot of the targets, it's difficult to spot the production this week once again. And I think I'm going with wide receivers like DJ Moore, even Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 35, and like Josh Downs too, over Ricky Pearsall.
Josh Downs, I can see.
Yeah.
I can see because Josh Downs he's pretty decent for a touchdown.
Yes.
But Jerry Jeudy is not. Hold on a second. Jerry Judy's not that bad of a call because lest we forget, he did get 10 targets.
Sanders is going to come in.
I had Jerry Jeudy last week.
No. Sanders is going to come in. I don't know if that's an indictment on Sanders or not.
He dropped like 3 pat. Like Jerry Jeudy has like a 22% drop rate. It's like it's embarrassing so far this year. And
Ricky has not been great, but I don't aspire a lot of confidence in Pearsall. That's for sure.
He's Joey injury, man. It's like like let's get like look. He got shot the first few games. Okay, like last year. Okay, like or in the offseason.
Then he played well.
He played well, but it's injury. And you got to get going now.
I think he's gonna take a game or two to ramp up. Like after this week, I think we're gonna start to see more or less what he was in the beginning of the year.
I don't think so.
It's a PCL though.
I think so.
He might not be the same. And Brandon Ayuk is supposed to come back. And speaking of Joey injury,
is he?
Kittle's commanding. Yeah, I don't know how close Ayuk is to returning. I don't even think they've opened his practice window.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. That'll do it for the wide receivers, ladies and gentlemen. Raj, why don't you give us a tight end you love or hate this week?
One of my favorite tight ends ever. Anyone who's listened to this pod knows Juwan Johnson and Chiga Okonkwo are guys I cannot quit. So I'm happy to see that Juwan has been a revelation this season. So my first love, Chiga Okonkwo, tight end 28. Chiga's topped 50 yards in the last 2 of 3 games, and they face a Seahawks defense whose weakness is against tight ends, allowing the 7th most fantasy points this year. And with Calvin Ridley out for the season, Elik Ayomanor and Chimere DK both nursing injuries, I think this could be Chig's breakout game. I don't know if you guys saw, he had a sick over-the-shoulder catch against the Texans. It was like for like 30, 40 yards, like an amazing catch in week 11. So I think that they don't have anyone else they could really target. So I think he could be a really good spot start for
because all of their starting wide receivers are injured, right?
Yeah.
Like Ridley's out for the season. DK, I think, got hurt as well, right?
Yeah. Yep, they all got hurt. I don't TBD. Like we'll see tomorrow, and like who practices. But I think this has to be the time for him, and I think it could be a very good spot start.
I like this one.
Yeah,
me too.
Fab, what about you? Love or hate?
AJ Barner. I got AJ Barner versus Tennessee. So give me those 11 targets last week. Let's go. And he's also been getting some tush push love too. Like fire him up, man. Like tight end 17. He's definitely worth the flyer this week with some tight ends on bye, right? So it might not be the most ideal matchup versus Tennessee. It's an average matchup, but at the same time, the usage is very interesting to me. And if you're looking for a tight end flyer, I think you could do much worse than AJ Barner. I like him over some of the tougher tight end matchups this week. Like Kate Otten has a pretty tough matchup again versus the Rams. Dalton Schultz, Theo Johnson, and even Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson versus Atlanta is not something I'm very excited about. But yeah, AJ Barner, like if you're not going to start him, pick him up because I think he's worth a roster spot because you don't know what he can turn into.
Interesting. Thank you, Fab. Yeah. I will end us off here with a tight end I hate this week. It's going to be Rod, your boy, Kyle Pitts, tight end 11 at the Saints. So I know everyone's going to say, oh, well, Drake London is out and Pitts immediately becomes a tight end for week 12. Well, not so fast. He's been downright putrid over the last 3 weeks, scoring less fantasy points in each week and has not put up double-digit points since week 8. He only has 1 TD on the year, surprise, surprise, and that came back all the way back in week 4. So, Raj, I'm officially done trying to defend him. I'm definitely on the Kyle Pitts is done train. The Saints are kind of middle of the pack versus the tight ends, but Kirk Cousins starting doesn't really move the needle for me, and I can't imagine putting up numbers everyone thinks he will. So I'm looking at another letdown game for Pitts, and give me Mark Andrews or even Harold Fannin Jr. Ahead of Kyle Pitts this week.
Yeah, and what can we expect from Kirk Cousins this week, realistically?
Oh. He's like, if someone tells me he's done, he's like worse than done.
He's done with a capital DONE.
Yeah, he just looks brutal. He's the smartest man in the NFL, and his agent deserves all the praise in the world.
100%.
Because he's made him a very, very rich man.
Yeah, is he the most winningest monetarily wise of all the quarterbacks right now?
I think it's Rodgers or Stafford.
And Russell Wilson too, no? Was up there.
Close, but I think it's Rodgers or Stafford who owns the top spot.
This requires a Google search.
Just for the tight ends too, sneaky good one on Hunter Henry against the Bengals. I don't know if he went off like we said he was going to. He went 4 for 45, but I think that's another one that would be way better than Pitts. And yeah, for Pitts, it's just allergic to the end zone. This guy just cannot get into the end zone. He's allergic to touchdowns. And I've been telling you guys, and join the club.
Just quickly, so the most earnings for quarterbacks ever in history, Matthew Stafford is number 1 with $391 million. Aaron Rodgers has 394 on his career. Tom Brady 332. Kirk Cousins 331.
Yeah, he was definitely in the top 5 for sure. I didn't know who was first between Stafford and Rodgers.
Has he even made a championship? Has he made a championship game?
Like an NFC championship game?
NFC, so. Yeah, he's only been the NFC.
He's only been the NFC. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Even with
what a Swindle job.
So.
Oh my God.
Very, very well done by that agent.
Yeah, good for him. Honestly, good for him. Good for his wife. Good for the J. Crew that he only buys from, or whatever, Old Navy in his closet there. Like, you got a 1,000,001 plaid shirts because
What's wrong with J. Crew?
nothing. I wish I can afford it. I can't. Clearly, he can because he has $331 million in the bank.
You can afford J. Crew.
Yeah, seriously, man.
Not with the U.S. exchange, I can't.
It's not expensive. That about wraps up another edition of the Bush League Huddle, everyone. Thanks a lot for listening. We will be back next week. Roger, the music, my friend.
Well,
let's go.
Let's go. J. Crew, eh? J. Crew. Let's see what they have on sale.
J. Crew. They have some nice stuff.
J. Crew was legit back in the late 2000s.
Their t-shirts are good. I like their t-shirts.
Yeah. You like their t-shirts?
I like their t-shirts. They're good.
You must look really cute with a t-shirt, a little white t-shirt that really matches your little mustache, little mustachio. Look at him. It's like a cat died on your face.
Wow. A cat?
He liked that one. he liked that joke.
Like that one, huh? You like that joke. You like
that, huh?
You like that, huh? Kirk Cousins.
You like that? You like that? Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Peace out. I hope everyone liked this episode too.
Goodbye.